trying to win this fight, but Pabu is just an absolute fridge and will not fall down. They do no damage to the damn Ornn. Blinky goes massive, takes down Mimic, and you can see Claire is struggling to put out the damage over the wall. That will be the double kill picked up for Blinky, dashing forward. Shockwave only hits one. Can Blinky keep going? E will be up and available in a moment. He gets the triple. Good ultimate from Ornn again. Claire over the wall. Big Chaos Storm, however, they're just going forward. And without the biggest damage threat, Legacy just fall before Avant. Damage down from everyone from Legacy. That's going to be 3 kills for nothing in order to get rinsed. Double kill already for Claire. Good ultimate out of Mimic and Tiger. Has to continue to run away. Feather Storm, triple kill for Claire. Make that a quadra for Claire. This just might be the penta. It will be. It's a triple and a double. I'm calling a pentakill right there. Claire going nuts. That's the triple kill. Forward. This is going to be the quadra kill. Give him the penta this time, Rosie. Turn around, come back. The enemy gets it. Pentakill picks up the Claire.
Gets exploded. Hook there on the Juju's been thrashed. Cannot defend her. I cannot believe it's gonna be the game. I can love it.
Mickey Well gets in behind him, trying to turn it in Radiant. Shockwave onto everyone. Triple kill for Radiant and Mickey Well, last man standing. It's a slugfest. Double kill, triple kill, double kill, quadra kill, double kill, triple kill. My God, that was amazing.
Hook's big swift has gone mega, but they killed us apart. Can't connect the chain, and Destiny, Hook is on. Swiffer is dead, Ray locked down Raze. Trippies gets that kill, and Spurs is stuck between the entire wall pack. Double kill for Fantix, they're running towards the Nexus.
Hello and welcome to the OPL Gauntlet. We're at the business end of split number 1 and we are about to see Avant Gaming take on Legacy Esports in what is a must-win for both of these teams if they want their 2018 season to continue. Hello, my name is Jake Spawn Tiberi. I can't even say my name. Joining me is Bryce, Agent Paul, Positive Paul. How you doing, Bryce?
I'm doing pretty good. Excited to see the Gauntlet. I think first day. AV versus Legacy is going to be all 5 games, in my opinion. I
think a lot of people are saying that, but there is so much League of Legends action this week as we take a look at all the games that we will be bringing to you live from Piermont, Sydney, from our studio. It's going to kick off with Avant Gaming taking on Legacy, and the winner of that team, of course, it is a best of 5, will then get the right to play against Order. The winner of that team will not only qualify for Rift Rivals, but we'll also have a crack at the Chiefs Esports Club on Sunday night for the chance to have a date with Destiny. No, he's not on the dials anymore.
I mean, it could be his date. He could go.
It could be his date. It could be Destiny's date, but it will be up against the Direwolves next Sunday, who meanwhile, while all these teams are ripping each other apart, have said that they will just be sitting there, licking their lips, sitting in their haunches. What else do Wolves do? Checking their tails for burrs.
Yeah, absolutely. They said last split that they spent a lot of time around the Gauntlet, just sitting back, relaxing, watching everyone, including myself, just fight to the death in the Gauntlet. And they were just sitting back, relaxing, and feeling good going into the finals. And they'll be doing it again, I think.
Yeah, certainly will be. However, a man that is no stranger to the Gauntlet is Fox Academy's Lost, who last split did play for Legacy Esports. Today, of course, went up against Team Liquid Academy and was able to seal his spot in what is now going to be the Academy Grand Final. So huge congratulations to one of Oceania's best players.
Yeah, it's just so good to see him performing overseas. I feel like a lot of people, especially before he went over there, they were saying that he has the potential to compete internationally, and then Lost, absolutely just performing and showing that everyone he can do it.
And it's always a big question because when you had a look at Lost, he was very good when he played in Oceania, but he wasn't styling on people. He was arguably the best, but there was still a case to be made for people like King, FBI, as well as Raze. So to see one of our 80 carries go overseas and now have an absolutely dominating performance, there's teams over there that would certainly be looking at him in maybe even a starter role is very promising at this stage.
Not to mention it's 8.5 and he's still playing the Tristana. You know what I mean? It's like off meta pick, like after the nerfs, the range nerfs, things like that. He's still feeling pretty comfortable.
Yeah, exactly right. No, that's one of the things that they said in draft. They actually saved counter pick for him in that game because he wanted to be able to have the mobility. It's good to see that the coaching staff over there obviously trusts him. It's good to be able to. I mean, the overall academy system is just showing great development like this.
It's also just kind of funny, like seeing Lost and not a Legacy Legacy jersey. Oh, like honestly, I haven't seen like too many of his games, but like it still feels a little weird to like not be looking at Legacy Lost. Of course, playing with Echo Fox, but yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, it certainly is. However, it did start with Chiefs Black. Moved on to
True.
a couple of teams.
Yeah, he went around the track,
TM lineup and then was on Legacy. Wasn't always there.
I just played against him, most recently against Legacy Lost. Like that was that's it.
Yeah, it certainly did. Face checked a couple of bush, killed
okay.
a couple of times. However, earlier today, Laura actually checked in with another Oceanic Pro player in Shock to talk about the high school tournament.
Thank you very much, Jake. I'm joined at the Hangout by Ari Shock Green Young to talk about something you've got a lot of experience in, and that is the High School League. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Glad to be here.
Before we jump into your history with the High School League, though, the big announcement is that the High School LOL Championships is on its way, and students from across Oceania are invited to compete in weekly games in regional tournaments, with the top 2 teams battling it out to be crowned Oceania's High School champion. Now, Shock, last year you played for Massey High School, but unfortunately missed out on playing the grand finals, and that's because you were drafted for the OPL midway through the year. But can you explain to us how you got involved with the High School League and what your experience was like?
Originally at the LGC, about a year before the High School League, I met a lot of people that were involved with the High School League later, so people like Cyclone, actually. And after that, there were a bunch of people at my school that just kind of wanted to see if I were interested in it, and it sounded pretty fun to me, so yeah.
So you were 17, competing in the OLL, the OCS, and the High School League. What was it about the High School League that appealed to you?
The one thing the High School League really had a huge advantage over the others is that the finals were a LAN event, and I think a LAN event is a real career-defining moment, and it's something I really enjoyed.
So you're now in the OPL, terrorizing everyone with your ERGOT pick. How did playing in the High School League contribute to your drive to becoming a pro player?
Playing at a LAN event and with a team was something that made me realize this was what I wanted to do as a career, and something that I would really enjoy to do as a career as well.
Well, playing at LAN is a completely different experience from playing online. Thank you so much for joining us today, Shock. And if you're from Australia and New Zealand and want to compete in the High School LOL Championships, you can. Teams must be from the same school, have permission from the school, and be accompanied by a teacher. For all the information on how to enter, head to leaguehighschool.com/esports. But for now, let's hand it back over to Jake and Bryce.
And it's always really cool to see players that have come up through high school systems or have played during high school. Lots of the old school pro players played during university, but seeing people like Shock, Parbu last year actually be able to juggle the two was very impressive.
Yeah, I actually played when I was in high school. I wasn't good. I think I was a gold something not ERGOT, Udir top like red pot 1 trick at the time. So that was the start of my career in high school. I didn't play for a team, but
it blows my mind that you sucked at the game at one point. Like that honestly,
you're gonna start somewhere. Like you didn't just come into life and you were what, like 20 something?
Well, no, because I started when the game started.
Okay.
So I was like a WoW player that then played League as a Q game. So I played before there was even ranked. Like, we didn't even have rankings back when I started playing the game. And then, I don't know, I'd played for a long time. Whatever, dude. However, let's get into the gauntlet as we are going to bring up the TVT. It's going to be Legacy Esports taking on Avant Gaming. And these are 2 teams that have already clashed twice. However, not to the result that many people at home would have expected. It was Avant Gaming with a 4-1 head-to-head, able to pick up both best of 3.
Yeah, that's super interesting, right? With these 2 teams that were very messy games earlier in the season, Week 3 and Week 5 respectively, and it was back when we had things like Orn running around with the unstoppable W, Claire was popping off on Zoe, and yeah, it's really weird coming into it because I feel like Legacy have ramped up towards the end of the split. And a lot of teams and a lot of people would be like, okay, Legacy surely have to be the favorites in this matchup. But AV just beaten them twice in the regular season.
Yeah, absolutely. And the ramp up for Legacy was taking a game off Direwolves and then being able to beat Order in a best of 3. Lost game number 1, won the next 2. The ramp up for Legacy, for Avant was taking Direwolves to 58 minutes, if you can call that a ramp up, and not really showing all that much else. So the recency bias does seem to be in Legacy's favor.
Not to mention Claire literally got 2 pentakills. One of them was unofficial, and right, Benji out there is flaming me right now for this, but that's 2 pentakills in one game. He's absolutely popping off coming into this one.
Certainly is. However, Frey, one of the players from Avant Gaming, has struggled against other top-tier mid laners, but in this best of 5, does seem to be able to go toe-to-toe with Claire.
And that's the thing. From those games recently or further back towards the beginning of the split, I feel like he has fared well against Claire, right? Against Swiffer, he had that touted LeBlanc game where he didn't fare so well against the likes of Ryoma and Triple as well.
Yep.
Not so great, but I feel like specifically into the Claire matchup, he feels completely comfortable.
Yeah, he also has been the only mid laner to show us something like Scion mid, has played Galio, so potentially can play a nullifying role. And I do want to talk about Legacy's lineup, and particularly how they attack draft. It's been maybe the one criticism we've had of Soul Strikes is the fact that he seems to funnel into one play
picks
style.
someone, yep.
And Mimic seems to be able to play whatever he wants at the moment. He's had Trundle games, he's had himself a couple of Fiora games, a lot of Camille bans, Gangplank, nah. However, Claire's most played champion by an absolute mile is going to be the Rise. You have Ezreal for Raid being up there with his most played champion. Braum, I think, has got like 11 picks or something for Decoy. This is a team that in a best of 5 is going to have to show more in the draft than I think they have all split, because this is the first area in best of 5 that you attack.
And that's the thing you mentioned, like AV have shown the Scion, they have shown this versatility. I guess the Trundle game is really the big outlier. We saw that fairly recently from Legacy, so they can play through different lanes, but I feel like it's mostly top side of the map. It's Claire, it's Mimic, and if Sybil has a good game or not, their bot lane, as you mentioned, just plays Braum. They just play passive.
Well, we'll see whether they're able to get that going. To hear some more thoughts on this first Gauntlet matchup, let's throw it over to Laura, Juves, and Bailey.
Thank you very much, guys. Today I am joined by Juves and Bailey the Beagle. Welcome back to both of you.
I'd be lying if I said I was happy to be here. I'd rather be playing, but I've got to give another team a chance to do a Gauntlet run, because it wouldn't be fair if I did another one and cleaned house. But yeah, it's good to be here with the dog.
Well, apparently it's International Puppy Day, so we've got the Wombo combo on today. But Juves, you'll be joining us for the rest of the Gauntlet too.
Name us a better duo.
You can't.
You can't. Find one. Name a more iconic duo.
Well, taking a look at today's Gauntlet match, it will be between Legacy and Avant. And as Jake and Bryce already discussed, the last 2 times these teams have versed each other, Avant were able to take both games. But these games did take place in the first half of the split before we saw Legacy make their comeback. But now, Legacy have always finished an OPL split in the top 3. On the other hand, Avant are adamant that they are not finishing 5th this split. One of these things is not going to come true because of the result of this match.
I don't want to be that guy, but I believe last split, when AV finished 5th, they beat us 2 times during the regular season, and then we won in the Gauntlet. And the same thing has actually happened now, where AV's beaten Legacy twice during the regular season, and I guess if you're an AV fan, you hope the same thing doesn't happen.
So you think Legacy's going to take this one? Well, I want to ask your thoughts on what you think about Legacy and Avant in their current form at the moment.
Yeah, I think it'd be fair to say that Legacy, I guess, have more of the momentum going in, as the desk said. You can't deny that they've taken a game off Direwolves, arguably best team in the league. They've, I guess, they dismantled Order in a 3-game series, and yeah, I would say momentum based, it'd be in Legacy's favour. But AV have showed the versatility to play things like Scion mid, Galio mid, as well as Azir now. So they definitely have, like, I guess that would be harder to pick pan against, which is important in a best of 5.
Well, I'm going to start with you for predictions. You think Legacy's going to take this one based on what you said. What do you think the score's going to be?
Yeah, I'm going to go 5 games. I'm going to go 3-2 to Legacy.
I'm going to go 3-2 to Avant, but Juice, we need to get Bailey's prediction as well.
Yeah,
have the honours.
For Bailey's predictions, I think we'll do it this way. Bailey, you want to... Bailey, this one is Avant, and this one's Legacy. Bailey's gone for the Avant win.
Wait. Avant.
You don't care who wins.
Do we count that?
He doesn't care who wins. He does not care at all.
He says Avant 3-2 as well. I think he ate both of them. So Legacy got to take a few games. But throughout the day, we also want to know who you think the MVP Gauntlet the MVP for the Gauntlet is, and what fantasy play they will make. So send them to us on Facebook or Twitter using the hashtag #IamOPL. And if your post is on the broadcast, you will win yourself a mystery skin. Juves, who is your ideal MVP for the Gauntlet, and what play do you want them to make?
My MVP for the Gauntlet is going to be Claire. I think he's had some standout performances, and I'm looking to see him carry Legacy throughout the Gauntlet.
What play would you like to see him make?
You know what play I want to see? I want to see maybe I'll see like Sybil needs a timeout or something. Like maybe he needs a breather. He's too much stress from the series, and then they decide they need a jungler to sub in. Well, I'm on the couch here. I might as well go fill in. Like Pro, the best jungler in the league, ready, waiting to be subbed in. So that's the ideal scenario. I get called in, subbed in, and we go Rift Rivals.
Does that mean you're the MVP and not Claire?
You know what? In hindsight, yes.
Okay.
In hindsight, I am the MVP, guys. So make sure you vote for me.
Somehow I don't see that happening today. I'm sorry, Jubes. But, oh my gosh, to get this first match underway, let's hand it back over to Jake and Bryce.
What is going on? Bailey's running rampant around the studio.
Jubes is just lobbing grenades our way. He can't even control the couch guest. It is like...
That's the thing.
Summon himself on.
Last time Bailey was on, we had T-Gun. He's probably like the biggest ever OPL player, and he was able to sit there and like Bailey wasn't going anywhere. Jubes, you know, you say he's 6'4", 600 IQ, like Bailey's questioning it right now.
Outsmarted. However, let's get straight into the lineups for this first best of 5. Starting on the blue side, it is going to be Legacy Esports. Mimic in the top lane. Sybil is their jungler. Claire is their superstar mid laner. Raid and Decoy are their AD carry and support. Of course, Soul Strikes is their coach. They'll be going up against the boys in blue. Avant Gaming. Pabu is their top laner. Only is their jungler. Frey in the mid lane. Blinky and Jake make up the two halves of the Bash Bros. And Charlie Wraith is their coach. A man that has his work cut out for him. Because in best of 5, I believe the first 2 games, your first shot at blue and your first shot at red, are all about preparation.
Absolutely.
Prior preparation prevents piss-poor performances, Bryce, and they need some good performances if they're going to be able to take these games against Legacy.
But the thing with AV, in my eyes, they are a preparation team, right? They come into the first 5 minutes of a game and they know exactly what they want to execute, and I feel like it's kind of, like, only has a path, right? It's like, okay, you go on red buff, and then you're literally ganking bot as Jarvan, and they did that, and then it works so successfully, or it doesn't work successfully, and that's it, and they seem to like kind of flounder from that point. So it's kind of weird, and especially as we go into the best of 5s, I was saying earlier that the most interesting thing for me going into the Gauntlet is kind of the evolution of these plays and just see how AV takes it from there.
Yeah, and I think the big thing that I want to watch for is, does a team get rolling in proactive League of Legends?
Yeah.
Because both of these teams are kind of sit back, let the game come to us. If they make a mistake, we'll capitalize and look to win. Otherwise, we're happy to go to 50-minute games. And in a best of 5, when nerves start playing a factor, when players start getting jittery, if you go down those 2 games and you feel like it's all on you to make the play, things can change.
And that's the thing. You say, all on you to make the play. We take a look at these rosters. We're talking about the similarities between them. Sybil and Only, I don't think they're primary engaged junglers. Only wants to play things like the Nidalee. Sybil has looked his best on the things like the Kha'Zix in most recent weeks. They've both played Jarvan, Zac Sejuani, things like that. Then you take a look at the support. You have Jake and you have Decoy. They do favour things like the Braum, like the Taric. Jake has played more Rakan and more Alistar than his counterpart Decoy, but it really does, in the end, fall on the top laners to be the primary engage for their teams.
Yeah, it certainly does. Take a look at the bans. Caitlyn, Galio, Sion. All the tanks in the mid lane gone. Frey being target banned there. Cassiopeia, Gangplank, as well as the Kha'Zix. And immediately they lock in the Rise. You would assume this is going to be a response pick of the Swain, as Avant Gaming has been the only team to show it, and certainly showed it to some good effect.
This is going to be 9 out of 13 in his previous 5 weeks for Claire, picking up that Rise. You mentioned it in the pre-show, saying that he just has played so much of this one, but Only's going to go back to the old favourite on the Olaf.
And Rise was so safe until last week.
Yeah.
Teams were just blind picking it willy-nilly. Even the Cassiopeia matchup, didn't look that bad. Merc Treads as well as Abyssal Mask kind of got you through it. You split push better than her. However, then the Anivia effect happened. I want to see whether teams are going to look to replicate that. Is this a game where Frey says, you know what, I can play Articuno as well? What's that guy in Challenger's name?
Oh, Black Phoenix, the Anivia
Black Phoenix is actually me. It's actually me, guys.
That'd be so cool if it turned out he was just the Anivia one trick all along. But it's just going to be the Varus picked up. So with Caitlyn banned, we saw Tristana nerfs on this patch. There still are a few options. Xayah Rakan just hasn't been touched at all.
Yeah, neither of these teams really Xayah Rakan teams, to be honest. Decoy, we said he's played kind of a couple of Rakan games. I think he's played 3. Jake's played mainly go backward supports as well.
They both have played it at some point this split. It's not like they don't play the matchup, but okay, Ornna's been locked in.
Yeah.
We haven't mentioned it yet, but
100% win rate in these games.
100%. Every single time these two teams have played, Mimic has played Gnar, first of all, and then 4 of the answers from Pabu were Ornn, and it was kind of the start of the trend where initially, earlier in the year, Ornn had his Unstoppable on the W, and everyone's like, Gnar is the matchup. Like, you split push versus him late game, and then Pabu is like, okay, no, like, I'm going to start picking it into the Gnar. I feel like it's fine. I can sit under my turret. Then you have the non-committal CC to engage fights on the other sides of the map, and it just has been so successful against these two teams.
And this is so interesting. They go with a Braum pick here for Jake, when Alistar is available, Tahm Kench is available, his Janna, Morgana both available and would be very good in this composition. However, they go with a Braum pickup, which means that now both their solo laners can get banned out. They can take a look at Pabu and they can say, goodbye Nah, goodbye Camille, you're playing a tank into a tank matchup, which Pabu would not like. Or they can say to Frey, you know what? Orianna gone, Anivia gone, try and find a fourth counter pick for Ryze, because I don't think it exists.
And that's the thing. If you are holding your solos, especially when Legacy first picked the Ryze, they've had so much time to get a counter pick. So I feel like AV, talked about them being a preparation team, 100%. This is the situation that they wanted. They know they have some counter pick that is unlikely to be banned away from Legacy. I'm interested to see what it is, because you mentioned the Orianna potentially banned away, and Nivea already is. What's it going to be?
It's so weird that they went towards Sybil, because they're going to force him onto a carry here. Something like an Elise is available. However, I would say that Raid's champion pool right now, you could legitimately ban away... I think he's going to pick Ori, by the way. You could have banned away Ezreal, as well as, I mean, maybe another 80 carries, something
Xayah.
like the Ashe or the Xayah. And really, he's not playing all that much.
It's not going to be the Orianna. It's going to be the Corki.
So this is a weird matchup.
Okay.
Because Swiffer, my mid laner, swears that Ryze
Beats
proverbials all over Corki.
Oh, okay.
Like, not a good matchup at all. And yet this is something a couple of times Avant has now done, taking that matchup.
Yeah, so obviously they completely disagree. They're going to take that one. Rek'Sai is actually going to be the jungle lock-in. We haven't seen him too much this season. I feel like he has had a resurgence into being playable.
Sorry.
Yes.
I have to do it every time.
You're correct, 100%. It will just be the Ezreal once again. Of course, they did pinch the jungle pool. Means we do get onto the Rek'Sai instead of the Zac or the Sejuani, the two kind of the best tanks on the current patch. So that does mean that Raid, you talked about the potential for the pinch, will just get his hands on a pretty safe, pretty comfortable pick for him.
But Rek'Sai was kind of changed from being this, you know, boring, mindless tank to now being a warrior into Black Cleaver jungler with the buffs onto the E. Doing so much more damage now when you have got that full rage. So it'll be interesting to see how Sybil plays it, because it does suit his playstyle if he does go a little bit more damage heavy.
Yeah, and I do need to note something quite small, but pretty effective. The thing about Rek'Sai is you struggle to stick onto people, and if you're not in burrow range, then you're just not going to get onto the carries. Obviously, Varus has no mobility, but Corki does. With the Taric and Decoy's hands as well, it kind of just extends the range that Sybil can be effective. Obviously, the Bastion, you throw out the Dazzle a little bit further, and it just means they can be a little bit more effective than where you think he should be.
Absolutely. As we take a look at the lineups, about to get onto Summoner's Rift for game number 1. It's going to be an Ornn. It's going to be a Rek'Sai. Ryze, Ezreal, Taric. Triple tier users on that composition bottom side of the map, going up against a Cho'Gath and Olaf, Corki, Varus, as well as Braum. You would have to say the immediate power appears to be there for Avant Gaming.
See how they do want to play that one, of course. Ryze scaling, Ezreal scaling. Absolutely nothing to be scoffed at, but Blinky in this game got his hands on the old favorite there, feeling pretty comfortable. In the, when we were talking, Frasier, they were looking pretty happy. They were sitting there in the room. Pabu was having a bit of a cackle. So we talked about Legacy kind of coming in hot, and then the last game's AV played against the Direwolves. Not too phased here,
but Avant are kind of that team, and I say this with the utmost respect, that they don't give a damn what anyone else thinks about them. They have their own, they're like the Direwolves, they have their own internal culture. They think that they can beat certain teams, and the belief actually shines through a lot. The first time they played against Legacy, they really thought they were going to be able to win that, and everyone was like, Mimic first game, no hope in the world. However, they did manage to pick it up 2-0 in a surprise upset. We're on to Summoner's Rift. Game number 1 of the Gauntlet. It's going to be Legacy on the blue side, Avant Gaming on the red side. Both of these team comps scale so damn well. And Laura is right now alongside Legacy coach Soul Strikes.
Thank you very much, guys. I am here with Soul Strikes. Now, you've got some rookies on the lineup that haven't competed in an OPL Gauntlet before. How have you been helping them prepare for this series?
So we've been preparing quite well. We've been playing a lot of best of 5 games in a straight. So if it comes to a long 5-game series, we're well prepared for it. But I think it's not going to be 5 games today.
Ooh, now, the last time you've been up against Avant, the past 2 times, you've actually dropped the series. How has that affected the team's motivation coming into today?
Obviously, losing against AV hurt us then, but if we just sit there and just mourn about our losses, we're just here to improve and just show them once again in a best of 5 that we're the better team.
And taking a look at the draft for this game, Avant have picked Corki into Rise, which we've seen them do a few times now. But how do you think this lane plays out?
I'm not sure why people keep playing Corki into Rise. It's a decent matchup, but like Rise always have the first movement, so we're going to get the river control very easily.
Well, best of luck with the series, and thanks for talking to us, Soul Strikes.
All right, thank you.
Big agree, Soul Strikes.
Yeah.
Big agree. I like it when coaches back me up. Just feels good, man. However, funny that he doesn't even think his team can get past 3 games today.
Oh, that's how you read into that one. Okay, that's a pretty interesting. The caveat to what he said, in terms of like Rise has the first move. If you go back and you watch the 5 games that these teams have played against each other, the telling story, the overall narrative is that the first move loses.
Okay.
They make a proactive play, and both these teams, we've said time and time again, pretty reactive in the early game. They seem to be able to counteract that one, TP down the bottom lane, things like that. Early ganks, they do get turned around, and then that team that doesn't make the first move. So in this case, if you kind of favor Soul Strikes' opinion, that's going to be AV with Frey. Should be interesting.
Yeah, 1-3-1, however, just gives you so much options. I think at least on the current patch. On the old patch, when you could just stall out forever in the side lanes, it kind of sucked. However, nowadays, you know, with the prevalence of Baron, things like that, 1-3-1 just seems to be so good.
Infinite vision.
Yeah, absolutely. However, in saying that, if Corki ever gets to 6 items, probably the highest damage mid laner in the game. Maybe up there with Azir. I would say they're the 2 biggest ones.
Cassia?
Cassio.
She's short range, so like she doesn't really have as many opportunities to do damage as something like an Azir. But.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's more like the windows that Cassio can do her damage in. If you ever fight a comp that rushes you as Cassio and they run into your miasma, they run into your big scream, you do so much.
Yeah,
she's bonkers.
Absolutely. We saw that one in the game we lost in Fox Academy. That was the play that turned the team fight there. Frey down a little bit of CS right now. Is kind of getting bullied out. Has gone for the Doran's Blade, so won't have the extra potions like Claire.
Yeah, funny that he didn't go with the Cull, which is generally the start, because Corki doesn't get all that much lifesteal. However, it does auto-attack the minions a lot for the return health on hit, which you can't call lifesteal, but I don't know what else to call it.
It's just life back on hit, and that's one of the weird things, of course, because he does magic damage. It's just much more effective for him there.
Yeah, absolutely. As we are actually going to see Fleet Footwork be the pickup for both 80 carries on the side of Avant Gaming, so nothing crazy going on here.
This is a very nice read out of Only. We talked about his pathing early game. Already got himself a 2 camp advantage because they ended up on opposite sides of the map, and they do have the priority in the bottom lane. He goes down, takes away the Wraiths, takes away the golems there. So,
and the ability to stay on the map is a little bit longer, is really what has propelled Olaf and Skarner to the top of the champion list. You can stay as long as you want with both of those champions. After they get all 3 abilities, they stop taking damage to the jungle at a very early stage. Even champions in the past that we've said farm very well, like Nidalee, still need a jungle item or still, you know, need that level 6, something like that. However, Olaf as well as Skarner, not the case, as we see a little bit of a gank, but he was spotted out on a ward.
He might actually just run into Sybil on the top side, but no, Sybil tracks away. The big thing of Rek'Sai, of course, after patch 8.4, has that unique perspective. Oh, actually, hold that.
Here we go. Going to be the use of the Predator already. The knock-up landed. However, he's just running to his golem camp.
That was really weird. They didn't even commit for a little bit of damage there. Potentially could have burned a flash, but as we mentioned, didn't know where Sybil was. They haven't seen him on the map. Rek'Sai, one of the junglers that has those weird gank paths. He can get over the fat wall in top lane. So if you commit too hard, of course, Ornn's going to take a while to go down that one. Very tanky Fridge in the top lane.
And you say don't know where Sybil is, but they actually knew exactly where he was because they had Raptors warded as well as double golems warded. So if he's not in the bottom quadrant of the jungle, if he's not meeting you in top river, he's in the top side of his jungle. So there's no point to go for that gank. This is a best of 5. Mistakes will bite you in the ass, and they just say, nah, let's play the percentages. Let's go back, get the shops in, and we'll just continue to outpace.
That's going to be the name of the game right now. Fairly slow early game out of both these teams. Actually, AV trying to force Sybil out of the jungle. Last time these two teams played, Only playing the Nidalee. He just literally started at Sybil's red buff. Level 1, top side of the map, flip sides, and kind of had a very rough series. So he has the rest of his team to kind of back him up in this regard. Sybil trying to give him a taste of the own medicine, but does get forced out.
Yeah, and you have a look here. Claire's actually coming across to try and secure some farm for his jungler, but you can see already he is 3 full camps behind.
Yeah.
And right now, Only is going to catch him out, and his bottom lane will have inside track on the rotate.
Spots him. Does the axe land? It does. Sybil Just going to use that burrow to get away. Still had access to the flash. Of course, this is a Electrocute Rek'Sai versus the Predator. So if Olaf chooses to, especially with the blue smite as well, he will be able to stick to the Rek'Sai, but of course didn't want to chase too hard. That will be just the Rift Herald taken on the exit, but now a full level behind.
It's just a massive advantage right now. Olaf's got 2 full clears. He's not a full level behind. He is a level and a half behind. Only was like the second member on the map to hit level 6.
And Sibyl's level 4. He absolutely just procced that one. It's pretty interesting. He will be able to give away his blue buff, and that's kind of one of the things that Carbon was saying, that the blue side jungler very often gets level 6 first. If they do the same clear, they do match camps across the board, because the first buff has to be given away to the mid laner for the red side, whereas the first buff for blue side just gets taken up because it is a red, but of course only with that 2-level lead, now 1. Very accelerated in this game right now.
Yeah, I wonder if he gets to keep a blue. How far ahead do you have to be as a jungler before you start taking your blues and just saying, you know what, I can run away with this game solo? You can see right now, Sybil is just like, I need help in my jungle. There is no way I can defend my red buff. I have no mana because I'm Rek'Sai, but I also have no health, which is more concerning.
Legacy playing this very defensively. They think only is around, and that is a correct read. The ward will be spotted, but Sybil tracking to top side, so I don't think they're going to be able to do anything. Claire potentially might.
Yeah,
they are
you can
flanking
see right now that they are flanking. However, Ragnarok is available. He can smite and just flash the wall if he so chooses. That is going to be exactly what he does.
There we go. Gets himself a red buff, walks away, and that entire time Sybil was going top. And so he kind of wastes a bit of time. The support mid lane duo of Legacy forces the jungler out, but he's just going to go back to the top side of the map right now.
And people at home would be watching and thinking, like, what the heck is Only doing? What a crap play. However, what he just did is gain priority bottom lane, priority mid lane. People had to rotate to him twice. They're using their vision, which is such a precious commodity at this stage of the game, so defensively to check a red buff. That ward now, useless. Legacy have just thrown a ward into the abyss for all that it's going to do. And really, Only doesn't need his flash anyway at this stage of the game. Unless he gets caught out in the next 5 minutes, then I look like an idiot.
Yeah, as long as he's got the ulti, for the most part, will be fine. This bottom lane, fairly stable for the most part. I say that, they're looking to go in.
Throw out both ultimate. That is big damage onto Raid because Decoy's ult wasn't there. However, they don't commit anything further.
And that's super weird. The fact that they don't commit the Ignite, they don't actually look for the all-in, because Decoy on the Taric is going to have heals, shields back up. Raid is almost at full HP, and they didn't even burn the Cosmic Radiance, and that's the big thing, potentially trying to bait that cooldown out. But unfortunately for AV, it isn't.
Yeah, exactly right. Decoy hit level 6, the creep after the trade. So you can see right now they're just going to equalize that wave. Double tier users will go back with 84 CS. That's going to be a good shot for Raid. However, at the same time, Blinky can just build whatever he wants. This is the thing about Varus that we've said time and time again. Really has unlimited options. You want MR, you go for something like a Witsand. You want yourself a little bit more standard, maybe a Ginsu's. If you've got too much magic damage, just go Blade of the Ruin King. What boots you want? You can build anything.
Tabby, Mercs, you can go Berserkers if you're real greedy.
Go Swifties.
Yeah, true.
When are the Swifties?
Zooming around. You're going to be dodging the Ezreal Qs.
Yeah, going to be dodging Rise.
Yeah, Rek'Sai Q, so he doesn't get sniped by the ulti. Ornn ulti, things like that. They actually have a fair amount of slows.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's just... I think that now that Jhin has been rearing its head in the LCS, as well as the LCK, we'll see a little bit more Swifty use because he's such a good Swifty user.
Legacy potentially looking to make the first move on the map right now, but no, just going to clear out a little bit of the vision. First Dragon, of course, is the Earth Dragon. Neither team is really too good at doing Baron. Nobody really has an Azir, a Cassio, things like that, so fairly standard across the board.
Varus is much better than Ezreal until Ezreal gets 3 items. Rise, however, probably much better than Corki, maybe? We'll see. Depends how accelerated Claire gets. But at this stage of the game, I mean, this is what we expected. 10 minutes in, we've seen a couple of ultis, but not really all that much else.
But I feel like Legacy are slowly looking to make this play. That was one commit into the river, and they chunk out a bit of vision. They deny the pink ward and the dot bush, and then they go back to lane. They get the priority with Claire again, and once again, looking in this bot side jungle. They have played in here before.
But the problem is if Only ever finds Sybil by himself, this is not a 1v1 fight that Sybil can win. If Only finds him, he's going to run over the top of him. This is a blue smite, Cinderhulk already completed against a very squishy Rek'Sai.
He'll just chew him up.
However, with Claire cheating into that Fog of War, they're not confident to go for the play. So Only's just kind of tracking around the jungle. Will now pop his head in.
Sybil will get fairly low from this one. Still has the fight, so can heal back
up. Actually, this is going to be a full
commit.
fight. In goes Only. He's able to pick it up. And Sybil just gets blown up. First blood for Avant Gaming.
And Jake, what did I say? The first move always loses between these two teams. They pull the trigger on the Dragon. Only actually gets the smite, so he gets the buff. They get the first blood as well. So advantage going towards AV.
And that is huge. Only just runs in. He is so tanky that Claire's not even bothering putting spells into him. He gets a flash out of the Claire. He gets the first blood picked up for his team. Jake now going to be accelerated. Maybe a lane they can look to start bullying on a very good shop. No longer going to be the case. And this is just greedy from Legacy.
It is at this point, because the bot lane priority is fairly even right now. TP does get channeled out of Pabu, but he ends up just cancelling. They get the cancel on the Rise ulti as well, so Realm Warp can't save them. As you mentioned, flash out of Claire. Sybil goes down, Dragon to AV.
And this is one of those lanes that you think tank versus tank, it's going to be really hard to get priority. But if both of the next items are going to be banners, which I think they're going to be because they're both primarily magic dealers, Pabu will win out in the War of Attrition.
Yeah, he can
he eats the banner minion, and then Ornn doesn't. Which, you know, doesn't make all that much sense, but we'll go with it.
I mean, he's a big void monster. Of course he can eat a banner minion.
Yeah, but I mean, Ornn's a demigod with a huge hammer.
Yeah, he is.
How does he struggle with a bannered up minion?
I don't know. But bottom lane's fairly even across the board right now. Of course, that kill did go over to Jake.
That's what we were saying about Swifty boots being useful. I mean, it's not Swifties, it's Tabbies, but you saw how quick Blinky was then running away.
So right now, it takes stock of the game. Gold lead, slightly in favor of AV. The top side of the map, you mentioned, both going the Abyssal Mark first. They are just kind of whacking away at each other. Pabu going to take the brunt of that trade, but we'll just heal up off the wave. So these guys completely chilling right now. Will we see Ornn continue to have a 100% win rate between these two teams?
Well, it's funny because my opinion at the moment is these are the two best tanks in the meta. And they're good tanks for two different reasons. Ornn's the best tank into tanks because he doesn't get bullied all that much and he's just got the best non-committal ultimate in the game. It's like Maokai ulti, but it's just way better. Cho'Gath is the best tank if you need to play a tank, but you're playing against a carry. Because he doesn't lose a split push late. Because he just goes like stone plate and then just bites them.
He flash feast.
Yeah, and then like the split push is like, well, I have no health.
I can't push against this guy.
Yeah, if anyone else is here, I'm dead. However, blue buff invade going on.
Once again, Legacy playing in this quadrant of AV's jungle right now. Got to be another smite fight. Only won the last one, but who gets this? We'll go over to Sybil.
Yeah, so they deny a blue buff. Claire's going to be able to go grab his, so that's a little bit of experience catch up for Sybil.
And that's the thing. I feel like Rise, we talked to Soul Strikes earlier in the game, and he kind of has had complete priority over the mid lane for the most part. Frey is even, if you take a look at the scoreboard, has a nice spike, just got his Triforce. Carl has been completed, but has really not had any proactivity in this matchup just yet. And you have to think back to the draft. They picked this matchup intentionally.
However, it looks like we might have the big five-man playing to the bottom lane. Teleport already coming in, and they are on the wrong side of the map right now. Blinky and Jake must go forward. Instead, they just pile in underneath the turret. That's a good flash out of Blinky. Stun will come across. However, he's going to be eaten up now. Jake has to run. Does burn the flash there. Sybil, however, with that red buff, will be able to chase him down. Double kill for Legacy using that mid lane priority.
And that was such a nice read from Legacy. We saw before that play, they go contest the blue buff. They know the answer from AV will be go topside. They want to get Frey that blue on the other side of the map, so they commit top. All the numbers in the advantage for Legacy. They pull the trigger. That's first brick.
Yeah, and that's just a good macro decision. I mean, that's not an outplay. The fact that they got 4 summoner spells for it, hell, that's even better.
That's a bonus.
But you should not be burning summoner spells if you're being five-man dove.
And this dive is just so easy. Think about the CC. Decoy has a stun. The knock-up plus the slow from Mimic. Blinky attempts to outplay it because of the invulnerability. Decoy is stunned up under the turret for so long. In the end, he has to flash away, but just so easy for Legacy to execute. Jake also, as you mentioned, burns his flash, followed up by Sybil, so advantage heavily in favor of Legacy right now.
However, in saying that, Herald plus mid turret went down.
Oh, yeah.
So you would say, gold-wise, in advantage of Legacy. Map-wise, that's heavily in favor of AV. Mid lane turret being down is a big deal at this stage of the game.
In saying that, they do have a Rise. If this wasn't a Zir comp, if it was an Orianna, things like that, then I feel like it's a much bigger deal. But Rise, of course, now that they've broken bot side as well, they got that first brick off the play. So they can just put Rise in the side lane. Raid and Decoy can match mid if they choose to opt in for the 1-3-1.
They put Rise in the side lane? I agree with you as the game progresses. But Rise right now, if he gets matched by like 80 carry support and then Olaf ducks his head in, he's going to be catching waves. And that's not what you want out of your priority mid laner.
That is true. But I feel like you just make the play on the opposite side of the map. We've seen it once before. As soon as AV went topside, they just commit. If you're committing 3 members to the side lane of Rise and the bot side, and they just hard commit topside, you're going to be bleeding objectives across the map. As Legacy just got to take the second turret for themselves with this game.
Yeah, AV just going to match this time around. Jake and Blinky not deciding to go up top lane and try and weather the 2v2. can see Legacy are a bit quicker. A lot of that has to do with Tarek's passive. We talk about it a lot, but the bonus auto attack is very good. And Rip wasn't used on bottom lane, so they're going to go for the 2-for-1 special. Shelly, not that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait,
all right. All right.
Okay, not that.
Good, Shelly.
Not anyway. Just turns around, doesn't burn the HP. That's a big thing, so they will get a full HP charge onto this turret. But Legacy, because this was popped earlier, because Shelly went to the right, this is a very slow Rift Herald play, potentially looking to just go mid off this. But Legacy have had time to react.
They could actually look to continue the fight because in the top lane they delayed Tarek's back for so long. However, Shelly just gets one charge and will fall down.
It's going to be a bit of a chunk, but overall Rift Herald not too effective for AV. Of course, they did match the turrets, so gold lead is in favor of AV right now. Dragon is spawning in just a few moments. It's only an ocean. But a bit of a death bush coming out.
Yeah, they want the phase check. They don't want the Drake because they know right now that Mimic
here
doesn't have ulti. That's a great Prey Seeker. Ultimate, however, still lands. The stun will be procced. Actually, the knock-up is just huge. Well played, Jake.
Very nice knock-up. Interrupts the burrow from Sybil there. So he goes down. No flash available, so couldn't get out quickly. Of course, Tarek ulti on the delay, so this is going to be the second Dragon going over to AV.
And we were talking about this today. Like, how good is Jake? Because it's a hard question to answer. Blinky and Jake, as a duo, have been so inconsistent. Blinky actually does like 35-ish% of his team's damage, something like that. So he puts in the work, but then in some games, they honestly look shocking.
They're a very polarizing bottom lane.
Yeah, 100%. So it's very hard to answer the question of how good Jake is, because I've been a big fan now for about a year and a half. I'm one of the most outspoken advocates because he shares a name with me, and of course that's the most important thing. However, I think that this is the guy that is waiting to take the next leap in OPL and become a genuine superstar. We say all the time, AV not a team that has a superstar. They've just got 5
I think Jake hates that, by the way.
And he hates that. He absolutely hates that. And I can see why, because he has put in a lot of work to become a genuine star of the OPL.
I mean, I've gone from a player to now seeing things from the outside perspective. And the one thing that always frustrated me playing against Jake is I feel like I was a very proactive player and then he was the opposite. So he would match the roam and he would never make the first move. But when you take a look at this lineup we were mentioning earlier, Sybil, not really a primary engaged tool. And I feel like when AV have looked good, Jake hasn't really been playing the engaged champs, but even on the Braum, he has been the one to step up and just pull the trigger on plays.
And a play like that, that's not a proactive play, but he nails the Rek'Sai mid-burrow. Able to pick up a kill. That was off the back of Blinky's ultimate. Blinky's also gone Bork, by the way, which is because he has so much magic damage in his lineup. Blinky was one of the first people when Varus was becoming popular that would change his build game to game.
Didn't just stick to one.
Yep.
Of course, they do have an absolute freeze in the top lane on... Oh, actually, Only's going to be caught out, but no, just pops the Ragnarok, will walk away.
Pegs an axe backwards.
I was going to say, it's a pretty tanky lineup. Of course, Sybil has gone Warrior, but he is opting in for a tanky second item, looking for that Cleaver, most likely.
Maybe Knight's Vow
Maybe Vow.
Well. Ray takes a truckload of damage there.
He's also gone for the Triforce.
Oh, that's actually going to be a rupture, and he's going to get stunned up here, Mimic. Mimic takes so much damage. Mimic gets blown up, and now they're in full-blown retreat. What the heck was that?
Ulti from Decoy comes out fairly late there, so one member downfall. Legacy Baron spawning in 30 seconds. They're going to go get the side wave control for the most part. But everybody just seemingly going to walk away from the mid lane right now.
That's just a free kill. As you mentioned, they had to push top lane all the way in because otherwise it was going to stack up and Claire was going to pick up a boatload of minions. You can say the same thing.
No ulti.
However, bottom lane, as you mentioned, no ultimate knocked up. Good flash out. Sybil still very squishy. You can see Decoy takes half of his life as well.
Decoy's coming over to the play. He's like, guys, I've got a stun. Like, keep him there. I can rock up. But Frey, of course, hits him with a bunch of rockets to the face. Will turn him around.
And Frey has just quietly picked himself up a 20 CS lead. Has done nothing this game but farm up a Storm. But when you're a Corki and you spike at 3 items, you need to farm efficiently, and he has certainly done that.
We saw Fantix do this almost every game last year, and he's the split MVP. Did it so successfully. So Frey looking to match that one so far. Baron, of course, has spawned. We are after 20 minutes. AV talked about the Barons not being too great across the board. They have really nice secure with the Cho'Gath. And now that they have a Bork on the Varus, they do the extra quick with the Mountain Drake.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I do want to point out is I disagree with Only's build. He's going for what looks to be a Randuin's Omen against a team that has no crit.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things that, I mean, if you're looking at HP and armor, what else do you really buy? You can make an argument for Val. Potentially, if you're an Olaf, you can even make an argument for Dead Man's Plate, but he's going up against a team that will have 0 crit users and is building an item that is only efficient.
Just wants the slow.
Well, then go Righteous.
True.
I mean, that's got armor.
I'm positive, Paul.
You are positive, Paul.
I'm trying.
You're also incorrect, Paul, in this situation.
Raid eating forward. Will the stun land? No. Valkyrie gets himself to safety. Sybil was there as well.
I mean,
Sybil's very low. They really want this one. What?
Yeah,
Oh.
say what you will about Frey, but he played that nearly as well as you can play that.
Yeah, buffered perfectly on the range of the stun. Of course, Decoy has the advantage of having sustain, so Frey will have to recall. But with Relic stacks and the heals coming out of the Taric, he won't have to back away from the side of Legacy as well.
Meanwhile, Pabu and his counterpart in Mimic just start wailing on each other. Pabu ultimately wins out there because he looks fancier.
Is that it? Because he's got a top hat?
Yeah,
That's the reason.
You just bow gracefully and you say, well jeweled, sir.
Okay.
At the same time, we said that we thought Legacy should have priority as Blinky actually takes all of his health in damage. That's a knock-up. Has to burn the flash. In comes TP from Mimic. They will look to continue that one. Good rupture. That is a huge ultimate coming out of Sybil. Dashes forward. 3-man Ornn ulti, and this could just be Baron. They're invulnerable. They can't die. Rise ultimate coming across. That will be a good rupture, but it did not get Claire. Jake will join his AD carry in the Death Chamber, and really 4 kills right now, and Legacy rip open this game.
And off the back of Claire, once again, he finds his way onto Blinky. Eventually, he will be able to take down Pabu, but it's going to take him a while. And they're looking at the Baron right now. Only is up, but he's an Olaf who can't jump over the wall with no flash. The blast plant is there,
Raid
but Raid
goes over, hits the plant. Really nicely done. That's going to be nearly a 3,000 gold swing as Legacy secure that objective.
And this is exactly what I expected from this series. These games between these two teams consistently have just been so close. This is the biggest lead we've had so far. We've said AV make good plays, Legacy make good plays, but that is the Baron going over to themselves right now. They have the 1-through-1 capabilities, and we talked about the Ornn and the priority with these two teams. We will see. As soon as the TP lands, Mimic gets a 4-man slow into a 3-man knockup. Jake actually tried to flash, but still lands on the back end of that one. And they just have so much reach on this Legacy lineup. Realm Warp gets themselves to the back. The Ornn ulti knocks up all the members, and as soon as they get that one individual pick onto Blinky, it's just lights out for AV.
Yeah, absolutely, and AV were just disrespectful. They felt that they had the mid lane priority, that they should get access to clearing out the wards, and Legacy were just like, no, we're not that far out. So we will step up and challenge, and it costs them now about 5,000 gold, because that was a couple of thousand gold in the lead. Now 3,000 gold behind, and going to have to look to scale at least until 2 or 3 items to get back into this one. Although ultimate hits, and that's going to be onto Claire. He will get eaten immediately, and just like that, AV say no to the pressure.
Yeah, that's going to be the denial on that inner turret there. Claire still had flash. He also has the spellbook. Of course, Ghost is down, but doesn't have the cleanse just yet. You saw after that other play, Raid goes back. He's a very safe AD carry. Invests immediately into the QSS. Claire does not follow in the same footsteps, and kind of cost him there.
I mean, he's already got his 2-item spike. He's sitting on the Bilgewater Cutlass, and he got 2 kills plus a Baron. So he's probably thinking, I'm ahead of where I should be at this game anyway. The QSS isn't going to put me behind.
Also, he can upgrade a QSS happily.
And it might keep me alive. So I like the purchase there. This is one of those situations where I think QSS is an okay item. Even though he needs to stay ahead of the damage curve, he still probably outputs a little bit more than Blinky.
And also, speaking of Blinky, right, that pick bought him enough time to now base. He had the Bork, he has his Ginsu. So suddenly 2-item spike, he actually does consistent damage, even to the front line, because he has that HP shred. So before that point, I feel like that was a very timely pick for AV, and it kind of needed to be then, or not at all. They were probably going to break the base.
And this was cute. This is something that I haven't seen in a long time, but Braum was kind of shadowing the tank there, and if Mimic met that wave, Braum plus Cho'Gath would have killed Ornn, because they would just lay a CC after CC. He's going absolutely nowhere. Something that you normally see mid laners do, but in this situation, giving up your mid lane a wave clear, probably not the best thing to do. Support, however, is maybe expendable, so I like the kind of thought process.
Knock up.
Lands, however, that's going to be a stun there for Pabu. He just runs forward at them and they say, well, maybe not.
He does, but a lot of pings from Legacy go onto the top side of the map right now. Decoy potentially split from his team. Olaf sitting in between him and the rest of the Legacy lineup, but they still have Baron, of course. Claire loses his, but the rest of the members have that one online for a few moments longer.
But this is where the door is an invaluable tool. You saw that couple of low-range AD carries trying to hit those backline minions. How do they do it? Jake leaps forward. He has himself a cleanse, so he can't be snared up. That's actually an ultimate onto Mimic again. He's going to call out the ram, but it gets blocked by Jake. He gets stunned up. However, with the response, it only respects the collapse from the rest of Legacy, flashes the wall. Now Sybil gets tagged up. Frey now looking to join his team, but this looks like Legacy have done enough to secure themselves top lane
They
turret.
found the pick, but Mimic just too tanky, bought enough time for the rest of Legacy to get here, but their siege is honestly not very good. Ezreal, pretty short range. You can throw Qs, but you can't hit the turret with them. Rise not going to do meaningful turret damage either.
Pabu has gone a risky way, and you can see his team is immediately back pinging him. That is a feels bad man moment in a competitive play. Normally a tactic reserved for solo queue.
And they are finally going to break it down. Baron has worn off, but Legacy find themselves the access. But overall, with the Baron, all they got was those two turrets. They broke the mid, and then they break the inner top as well.
And
so
the
now sitting
minimum
on
you
4,
expect to lose against Baron, especially in a 1-3-1 comp, is, you know, all you're out of.
yeah. Potentially even threatening onto the inner ring as well, but they only break down 1. So decent hold for AV for that point in the game, I feel like. Kind of stabilizing somewhat. Gold lead still just over 3,000 here for Legacy, but...
I want to ask you, we have that question that keeps flashing up, like, who's your MVP, what's your ideal play? I want to know what your ideal play is from the games that you played in. So what was the play that your eyes lit up and you were just like, I'm going to go for this?
Wait, one that I've done?
Yeah.
Oh, the one where Swiffer got all the credit from Atlas. Was it Brisbane? I can't remember if it was Brisbane or Luna Park. And I like alley combo 4 people, and he just hits his R button on Oriana, and Atlas is like, Swiffer!
I knew that was coming, by the way. That's a blatant setup.
He's baiting it out of me, mate.
That's when you know you've spent too much time with someone. For those that don't know, Ejim is still very mad that he did not get credit for any of those headbutt
It's in the
bombs.
highlight reel pre-show.
But in saying that, Radier also dashed forward onto Lloyd, trying to kill him, and you headbutted him into brush, and everyone blamed Radier and said it. I think Monte Cristo's exact words were, he is the worst pro player ever.
Oh, no, he was the worst player of the week because he was doing that series. But, of course, my lung popped, so I had a bit of a handicap there.
Oh, come on.
But Baron spawning, back to this game, back to the Gauntlet. First match so far, AV and Legacy. Baron spawning in about 1.5 minutes. They had the last one, but setting up the 1-3-1 right now. AV doing a good job at holding for the most part. Pabu continually answering the side lane, then has to walk back to group up with his lead, but this does give Legacy some time right now where he has to go bot. 1 minute till Baron, and they're going to get the control topside around that objective.
And when you're ahead, you have to think about what does our lead actually afford us. Well, when you have a look at it, it's a completed Void Staff after, as opposed to components of Infinity Edge. It's, you know, a completed QSS as well as Blade of the Ruined King onto like components of even a Zeal there. Blinky really starting to feel the pinch of getting put behind. The one player that isn't feeling it right now is Only. He's got himself a completed Randuin's. He's got himself a Raincoat. He can honestly run into the middle of that team, and at this stage of the game, will still be relatively tanky to everyone except for maybe Claire.
I feel like this is the point where he starts falling off. He's kind of peaked, right? Rek'Sai, of course, not the biggest tank on the other side, but about 30 minutes onwards, when Last Whisper potentially starts coming through for the Ezreal, when Claire, of course, already has the Void Staff, but Olaf kind of falls off and pales in tankiness comparative to something like a Cho'Gath or a Ornn.
And not even that. I mean, Sybil has a knock-up. Only has a 40% slow. I know which one I would rather
He's got a lot of them, but the knock-up.
But both of them are going to run in. They're going to use one ability.
Yep.
Like,
And then they're
Sybil's
going to
like
run away.
W and try and R someone and get some damage out. And then Only's going to like chuck a couple of Axe to check vision and then run in and die. So they both honestly got the same job, which is absorb as much damage before you die as possible.
Legacy constantly checking these bushes. AV have kind of been sitting on this pink ward that is being cleared out right now.
Oh, that's going to be an ultimate onto Claire. Gets stunned up immediately and will fall down again. Huge ultimate coming out of Jake. Raiders already pieced out. They are invulnerable for now, but will they be for long? No, says Pabu. Eats him, and that is just in time for Baron to spawn.
Time and time again, AV find the pick onto the strongest member of Legacy right now. Has 2 deaths already. They're setting up the Baron. They don't have Cho'Gath Feast, but Sybil is here, potentially contest, no?
Yeah, they call in the Ram as well. They're looking to make something of this, but again, Jake has just been on point today, keeping his team members safe, blocking out that CC, and now Avant have a Baron of their own.
Legacy had so much control, but just the slight overextension. Very nice pick from AV. As you mentioned, Baron of their own, gold lead, basically even. 2K at 30 minutes between these two teams, almost negligible. For the most part, we're going to see it once again, and the members for Legacy are there. They're actually committing onto the Corki on the top side, and the rest of the members kind of just leave Claire sitting there alone. They do buy some time with the Cosmic Radiance, but he's just dead at the end.
And that's a Legacy champion problem. That's one of those champions that didn't get a gap closer because he was released 5 years ago. And he's like, hey guys, I know you can all dash away from me, but I kind of need an escort through this hostile environment.
Well, you didn't get it.
And he's like that annoying mission in the James Bond game.
He's the president.
Where, like, the president walks, and you're like, come on, dude. We're in a war zone. Run, for Christ's sakes. And he's like, I'm sorry, I'm doing this at a slow, meandering walk.
At his own pace.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly right. And that time, they're like, come on, Claire, just run. And he's like, this is the only speed I got. However, now being collapsed on again. In they go. Claire has to use the flash. However, that is an unstoppable Olaf. Knockup is there from Mimic. Claire still looking aggressively. Gets flashed, bit, and will turn around for some huge damage, but falls down. And now Mimic gets chased out of the fight. Another time, 2 picks.
And that was the cooldown from Decoy. The ulti was not alive, so he couldn't keep himself, nor the mid laner of Legacy. The hard commit out of AV. Multiple flashes burnt onto the rise. This is 5 members versus 3 with a Baron.
And they're shepherding a huge minion wave in. And there just is no wave clear up and available. Mimic steps forward, nearly gets ruptured, and Jake is just keeping all of the creeps alive. The base will be broken. There is still 30 seconds on the mid laner, but after this, Avant will just turn around. They will say, that will do. We have broken the base.
And that's it. You saw the flicker of the player came onto Claire for just a moment, slunk back in his chair. Not feeling good at the moment. Only game 1 of this series, best of 5, but AV, you mentioned, break the base. Starting to get a foothold right now. This has been exactly what I expected. So back and forth, 1 Baron to 1, but AV just able to get more.
I mean, when you look at the scoreboard, 6 to 8, nothing in it. Ocean Dragon, Mountain Dragon each, nothing in it. 5 Taurus to 4, 1 Baron each. I mean, this is honestly as close as you can draw up a game at 33 minutes.
And not to mention, you think about the history between these two teams just for this split. This is exactly how Legacy lost to AV the 5 times previous, or 4 times. Obviously, they won a single game. But it was always they had control, they had the Baron, they have the setup, and then they make one single mistake, AV capitalized. These were the games where the Legacy Baron meme started to become a thing, where Frey was TPing into the Nexus of Legacy. On the other side, they got the back doors. There have been a bunch of frustrating losses against the AV lineup for Legacy, and looks like potentially happening again here.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see Jake time and time again just throwing himself forward. Stopwatch picked up for Blinky as well as GA for Frey. They think that this game is on the cards to win right now. However, no, they don't. They back away. No banner of command available means that creep wave just gets fed into the Legacy carries.
Top lane, not in any position to contest right now. They're just kind of waiting for the wave to push in. They're just trying to clear out the complete inner turret ring. They have broken the base, but this mid lane inner, the only one outside of the base left standing.
Mimic has the go button if he wants it. Sybil posturing aggressively onto Frey. However, as we keep mentioning, that is not a tanky jungler. 2 auto attacks puts him at about half health.
And you mentioned Mimic has the go button. But Braum, we didn't really talk about it. Just counters that so hard, especially on the engage. You can get the slow 100%. But then Jay can honestly block the ram coming in from the backside on the Braum. And he's done it multiple times so far. So really, apart from Ornn, which should be negated if Jake plays it well, they don't have anything else. They found a few picks with Claire on the Rune Prison, the stun at her eyes. But Decoy pretty squishy. He doesn't want to be frontlining. Has gone for the tier build.
And look at Pabu. Pabu has got himself 5,500 health without being able to pick up a stone plate. That's an ultimate. It lands onto Raid. Uses a QSS. Has to Arcane Shift away. Well played. However, now that cooldown not going to be up and available.
No wave here, though, for AVs. Just going to shove this one in. Will potentially just walk away. Knock up. Barely misses on the side of Mimic, but not going to contest to that one anyway.
They're just trying to confine them to the base. They're not even looking for a fight right now. They're denying jungle. Every wave is going to be contested. And the longer they keep them here, the longer they know that, you know, Elder Drake going to be up soon. No vision on that. Baron going to be back up and available in about 2.5 minutes. No vision on that one either. And the longer the Legacy gets starved out, the further behind Sybil and Mimic will fall, because top laners and junglers are always the first two that get all the farm taken away from them.
If you're a jungler and your team starts losing, you're not just getting counter jungled by the enemies, but of course your carries as well. So feels bad for Sybil right now. He's not able to reach level 16 right now, only, of course, has. And, Legacy looking to get some pressure in the mid lane as we see both buffs spawning at a very similar time.
Yep.
Is the word I was looking for.
I mean, they're 4 seconds apart. I'll call that simple. I'll allow it. And
this is what we saw in the AV Direwolf series. That 58-minute game, AV had to make some choices. Pabu said in the interview the next game that he was happy with the choices they made, but the big thing is that you don't get to practice this situation often. They've had stage practice here just a few weeks ago.
And the thing is Direwolves push you to make choices. I don't feel Legacy push you to make choices. I feel like Legacy is great to capitalize on the wrong choices you make.
Yep.
They're a great counter-attacking team.
Fact. Yep.
However, I don't feel like they're like the Direwolves, that unrelenting counter-jungling team. As we just see time and time again, Pabu marches forward, has himself a Warmulch, has himself 6,000 health plus a Stone Plate, doesn't really give a damn about you.
And this is the pressure you were talking about. AV constantly just trying to confine Legacy to their base. They literally do not have a ward past their red buff. Nothing in the river. They do have the Scuttle Crab that Corky's walking over just now, but that's going to fade out fairly soon. 40 seconds on the Elder, 40 seconds on the Baron as well. It looks like AV setting up for the Baron. Of course, no Infernals, nothing like that. Just an Earth and an Ocean, potentially more valuable for them.
The big thing about this team comp, however, is someone like Pabu can potentially go solo it. Blinky can certainly solo it with his build. I've seen it done by Varus many a times. Corky potentially can solo as well. So if they just deny vision from the Elder Dragon area, there are still members on the Avant Gaming lineup that can take it down. Face check is going to be here out of Decoy. Ultimate immediately has to burn his cleanse. You can see Sybil waiting over the wall. Now he goes in. No flash engage going to be there. However, that's a big cooldown not going to be available.
And that's the thing. The cooldown gone. They're just going to wait for Varus ulti to be back up. Fairly short cooldown, about a quarter off right now, but the cleanse much longer right now. They kind of, with that attempted pick, cede a little bit of control of top river, but they're trying to get it back right now, burning out the tunnel.
Yeah, Pabu took a lot of damage there.
But they just start. Claire's in base.
Yeah, they potentially can go for it. They will see him now. They chase away Sybil, put a couple of rockets into him, and now they're looking to base. That will be a landed skill shot onto Jake, so even though he's still, they know exactly where he is. They check the pit.
Lands.
Raid gets axed. So this is just the do-si-do, and neither team really wanting to pull the trigger.
Just so close between these two right now. A lot of long-range members. Raid can kind of solo contest for the most part. Mystic shots, landing back and forth. Frey has his package as well. They might just look to cut them off right now, but AV getting shepherded onto Legacy's side of the map. They've flipped places right now. Knock up, not going to land, only sitting about half HP.
If Avant had on, things would be so much easier. You just call in the Ram, you say, let's get the party started. However, you got Pabu. He's fishing. But, I mean, at this stage of the game, it's pretty easy to dodge out of a Rupture. There it is. There we go.
That's going to be time number 3. Legacy reliably able to do that one. Raid just dashing forward there.
So I feel you either start or you have to go away. You see the ultimate is back up and available. Will they land? A big Rune Prism is there. However, now again they go onto the Taric and they blow him up. Jake goes very low.
Big
That's going to be a 2-man Rupture this time around. They call in the Ornhorn. They will go onto the Corky. However, Flash Beast on the Claire, and that is absolutely huge. Mimic will join him in the Death Chamber. You're tanky, but you're not that tanky. Raid gets a snipe now, looking for Blinky. However, nothing really doing, and with 3 members dead, this can be Avant looking to close out this game.
Legacy, all their hopes right now in the pocket of Raid. The little Ezreal that could has to save the game right now. Pabu is a very tanky man. They have the front line to just tank up the Nexus if they want.
They actually go forward. They nearly blow him up. Flash forward would have done it. However, they say that will be enough. We'll just chunk him out. Onto the Nexus turrets we go. Number 1 will fall down in absolutely no time at all. Number 2 will join it very shortly. And Sybil can do nothing but watch as his base is now reduced to tatters. And Avant Gaming will pick up game number 1.
It's got to feel good for the boys in blue right now. 1-0 up. That was a very nice flash silence from Pabu. The Cho'Gath, we talked about how On, of course, now having lost a game, doesn't have a 100% win rate. But the Cho'Gath, once you get to those late game team fights, flash silence, not even CC really, onto Claire. It was a 4v5 Legacy that had less members were opting in for the pick, and AV just turned it around.
Well, they just felt that with no Varus ultimate, with, you know, the fact that a couple of them were invulnerable, they could look for it. However, at the end, that Cho'Gath silence. It's a...
Because it looked good from Legacy. Like, there was a reason they were chasing. You mentioned they have the choke for Rise, the slow lands on multiple people from the Ornhorn. Potential, but just the turnaround. And that's what the game kind of resulted in, was these clutch little team fights. A pick off here, a pick off there. Blinky gets picked, suddenly Legacy get a Baron, but then Claire gets picked multiple times. Seems like 1 time too many. AV get themselves a Baron. Suddenly they've won the first game of the series.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have to think, if you're Legacy, you're feeling right now like we are the better team. We have shown it against Direwolves. We've shown it against Order. But why can we just not beat Avant Gaming? And Avant Gaming are just sitting there going all day long. This is like, keep them coming. This is win number 5, and we've got another couple in store.
And that's the thing. Juice was saying it always gets to playoffs, and then suddenly AV can't actually get the games they need, get the wins when it matters. But all of a sudden, especially if you give me like my prediction, like I wouldn't have expected AV to win game 1. I feel like Legacy coming in hot absolutely wouldn't have been able to take that one. So momentum, especially now, going into the rest of the series, firmly in AV's favor. And I feel like they can be a very momentum-based team. So, like, that is just so important going forwards.
Yeah, and everything we kind of lined up, you know, the trust in Rise, the trust in Ezreal, like the ability for backwards supports, you know, Tarek on one side, Braum on the other, kind of lined up. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe it is that these two reactive teams actually don't get punished enough in the early game, and you can pick things like Corki and just take them super late and win out in those team fights.
And that's what we saw. The first play did end up in an AV advantage. Legacy pulled the trigger on that one and turns it around. But as you mentioned, maybe we're just going like 5 games, something like that. We're just going like super late game team comps. Against these two teams, it makes sense.
Yeah, exactly right. However, Avant Gaming were able to pick up game number 1. And to break this down further, let's throw it back over to the analyst hangout.
Thank you very much, guys. I am joined once again by Juves and Bailey.
Because Bailey picked AV, he did pick AV. That was the first tree. I'm going to give him this. Good boy, Bailey. Now you can just munch on that, and we'll keep talking.
You've made his night.
Yeah, you know.
See, if AV keeps winning, then he's going to get more treats.
You know, I'll have to consult the master. I'd have to consult Dad. And I don't think he'd be wanting his son to be having this many treats.
Avant able to pick up game number 1 in this series. And I want to start talking about the draft dues and specifically the Rek'Sai pick. Because we've only seen Rek'Sai once in the OPL before. Seb played it in his the Bombers Order series.
Yep.
Sybil didn't have a good time on it this game. Got a bit behind in the early game. Do you agree with this pick when there were other options available?
Well, I kind of feel like Rek'Sai it's not strong enough in the meta right now. So, okay, the way I look at the meta and pick ban is if you're willing to give the enemy team Olaf, which is like, I don't have anything left. If you're willing to give the enemy team Olaf, which is like the stronger in the patch right now, and then you're going to pick like a tier 3 champion, like you're going to pick a tier 3 champion like Olaf, then you're in a bit of trouble. And that's what kind of we saw. Like Rek'Sai never had, come here. Rek'Sai never had like, could do anything around the map. Like it was more or less just farming and trying to catch up to what the lead Olaf built. And so I feel like you're almost better just picking Skarner there. And if you're going to do nothing, at least the enemy team's going to think about buying a QSS. So you're kind of, I don't really agree with the Rek'Sai pick.
And during that game, Jake and Bryce were talking about Avant's bot lane and whether they can be considered good or when they can be considered good. But Jeeves, you were saying you think that Blinky is potentially the person that swings the team.
So like, I harp on Blinky quite a lot when he does the wrong things, and this is just one of those aspects of where I feel like he just played way too disrespectfully for his role in this team, and it just it basically gave Legacy the Baron. There was no real setup from Legacy, it was just Claire standing in a bush, which forced this team fight, and this was just one of those instances where we find the one half of the AV bot lane getting caught, and now this second replay is what I think Blinky can do most of the time. He's real quick and concise with the ulti. Granted, Braum did tag Clay with the Q, but this is what it looks like when the AV bot lane's playing really well. And like there was I feel like in this game there was 2 examples of like the AV bot lane that we can get. It's like we can get the one that kind of sways and gives the Legacy Baron, or we can get the one where Blinky just pulls these ultimates, Jakey hits these Braum Qs, and they look like a real good bot lane. So I'm looking for, I guess, consistency from AV's bot lane throughout this whole series and not letting themselves slip up in giving away those like cheap Barons. But also, when Claire got caught a couple of times, it kind of feels like Legacy are a bit lost. And I think that was Legacy's problem the whole season, is that they're fine getting leads and they're fine doing laning phase, but they kind of lose their way a little bit once laning phase has ended. And I think that was evident every time that they got caught or tried to start a fight.
So, Juice, you've been in these Gauntlet positions before where you come out of a game and you have to mentally reset and alter things between games. How do you go about doing that in a best-of-5 series? I
think it's just it's important to remember there's still a lot of league left. Like 2 games is a lot. And that's pretending that you lose those 2. So usually when you lose the first game, I'm a firm believer of going back to the room and saying, yeah, like we lost that one from pick ban, it's fine. Or not pick ban, but we lost that through a certain mistake. It's not going to happen again. And you just try and calm everyone down. Like I'm sure they will get back to the room and Claire will say, yeah, boys, I stuffed up. I got caught twice by a Varasol. And no one will be that affected by it because that did happen. But I'm going to put 9 times out of 10, Claire's not going to do that again. So it's all about just like resetting mentally if you can. And and focusing on what's next, because you can't change what happened, but you can change what you're going to do in the future.
Well, before we get to game 2 and to see if Legacy are able to mentally reset, we asked you guys to send in your ideal MVP for the Gauntlet and a fantasy player you'd like them to see. We have a message that's come in from James on Facebook who says, Ryoma will tear it up for the Chiefs and he will lead them to victory in the Gauntlet. He's the best mid, in my opinion, and he has what it takes to help his team win. James didn't send in a play, but Jubes, you used to...
I got one.
Well,
So my play, can I be any team they're versing?
Yeah, sure.
So it will be Ryoma versus Direwolves in the final, and it will be like producer or referee have had a flashback and they're like, let's make it LCK-esque blind pick kind of mirror matchups, and then it will be Triple versus Ryoma Z mid matchup, and then it will be like one of those like Faker-esque like outplays, and Bryce will be like, oh, look at the moves, like, you know, how there's that Faker clip.
Yeah, yeah.
And I want to hear Bryce do that, actually. So it's going to be real nice.
You just like brought back so many memories for me then, talking
What, look at
about
the
like
moves,
the blind,
Faker?
the blind pick,
Blind pick,
LCK,
yeah. I'm
that
serious.
was so good.
Trust me, it's going to happen. Mark my words. Ryoma will pick Z, Triple will match it with Z, and Bryce is going to have a rough time calling that one.
Well, I'm crossing my fingers waiting for that to happen. We're going to go to a break, but when we get back, we're going to have game 2 between Legacy and Avant.
Go forward. Instead, they just pile in underneath the turret. That's a good flash out of Blinky. Stun will come across. However, he's going to be eaten up now. Jake has to run. Does burn the flash there. Sybil, however, with that red buff, will be able to chase him down. Double kill for Legacy. That is a huge ultimate coming out of Sybil. Dashes forward. 3-man Ornn ulti, and this could just be Baron. They're invulnerable. They can't die. Rise ultimate coming across. That will be a good rupture, but it did not get cleared. Jake will join his AD carry in the death chamber. Oh, that's going to be an ultimate onto Claire. Gets stunned up immediately and will fall down again. Huge ultimate coming out of Jake. Raiders already pieced out. They are invulnerable for now, but will they be for long? No, says Parbu. And in they go. Claire has to use the flash. However, that is an unstoppable Olaf. Knockup is there from Mimic. Claire still looking aggressively. Gets flash bit and will turn around for some huge damage, but falls down. However, flash piece on the Claire, and that is absolutely huge. Mimic will join him in the death chamber. You take him, but you're not that tanky. Raid gets a snipe now, looking for Blinky, and Sybil can do nothing but watch as his base is now reduced to tatters, and Avant Gaming will pick up game number 1.
There is beauty and tradition in the dance. Grace in every step. Power in every turn. Our dance is an honor to perform. And the last thing our enemies will ever see.
Enemy exo detected. All safeties disengaged.
Nowhere to run, No time to cry. Maybe next time, shoulder pads.
Greetings. Your Arsenal of Death is now available.
Thank you, EXO. Eat missile. Feeding time. The law of attraction. Stay out of space, kid. Ooh, let's see how they like these girls.
They will not like these girls because they will be dead.
Aim.
Fire!
Another day, another name off the list.